Hello everybody and welcome to the video notes for Unit 2, Day 15. In today's video we are going to continue with division, and this time we're dividing decimals by converting them into fractions. Today's video is dedicated to Jennifer in 6C. Hi Jennifer. Before we start dividing, first we're going to practice multiplying decimals by powers of 10. So when we have a decimal like 9.2, and there's just one number after the decimal in the tenths place, 9.2 times 10 is equal to 92. So multiplying by 10 moves the decimal to the right once. If we have two numbers after the decimal, so it goes out to the hundredths place, 9 and 25 hundredths, if we wanted to move the decimal once to the right, we would multiply by 10. That would give us 92.5. And then if we multiplied by another 10, that would move the decimal 2 spaces to the right. So that's the same thing as multiplying by 100. So it's 9.25 times 100. That gives us 925. And if we have three numbers after the decimal, so 257 thousandths, and we wanted to move the decimal all the way to the right, we would have to multiply by 10 three times. So it would have to be times 10, times 10, and times 10. Right, this is the same thing as 9.257 times 1,000, because 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. And that gives us 9,257. So you can look at the number of places that you have to move the decimal to the right, and that's how many tens you have to multiply your number by. So now that we've gone through this as a class, now I want you to pause and try this section right here on your own. Finish this section on your own. Pause, go. Now you are resuming the video and checking 1 through 6. 4.8 times 10 equals 48. 3.14, there's two numbers after the decimal, so times 100 gets us to 314. 5.5 times 10 is 55. 6.628, there's three numbers after the decimal, so to move the decimal all the way to the right, we have to multiply by 1,000. 100 times 7.22, move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, we have 722. 4.94965, four numbers after the decimal, to move it all the way to the right, we'd have to multiply 1 followed by 4 zeros, 1,000. Sorry, four numbers after the 1 would give us 10,000. So times 10,000 gives us 44,965. Now that we've done that, we're ready to divide. Oh, and if you got all these right on your own, 6 gold stars. Example 1, 96.6 divided by 2.3. So the first thing that the first step is to write the problem as a fraction. All division problems can be rewritten as a fraction where the numerator is being divided by the denominator. So 96.6 divided by 2.3 is the same thing as 96.6 over 2.3. Step number 2 is going to be to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number so that the decimals are at the end of the numbers. So for 96.6, I'm going to have to move the decimal 1 space to the right so that it's at the end. For 2.3, I'm going to have to also move the decimal 1 space so that it's at the end. So to get those decimals to the right, I would have to multiply them both by 10. And I can do this in math because, right, I'm going to write this up here. You don't have to write this. 10 over 10 is the same thing as 1. The numerator is the same as the denominator. So this is the same thing as multiplying this number by 1. So the value of this fraction isn't going to change because I'm multiplying it by 1. Now let's see what we get. 96.6 times 10 is the same thing as 966. 2.3 times 10 is 23. Now I've just changed my fractions so that I don't have any more decimals, and now I can divide. Step 3 is going to be to use the standard algorithm. That's just a fancy math way of saying long division. So let's do our long division. The numerator divided by the denominator. So the numerator goes inside the house. Divided by 23 goes outside of our division house. I check. How many times can 23 go into 9? Can't do that. 9's too small. Got to go out one. How many times can 23 go into 96? Well, I think to myself, if 23, I round that down to 20, 20 times 4 is 80, 20 times 5 is 100. That's too much, so I'm going to try 4. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Subtract. 96 minus 92 is 4. Bring down the 6. I think to myself, how many times now can 23 go into 46? Well, I know that 20 times 2 equals 40, so it's probably going to be 2. Put a 2 here. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. All right, no remainder, 42. Now that we've done this example, I want you to pause the video, use these steps that we did right here, and try number 2 on your own. So pause, try on your own, go. Now you are resuming the video after you have tried number 2 on your own. Remember, if you're not pausing and trying, you're not challenging yourself to learn. So let's rewrite this as a fraction. We have 64.8 divided by 1.8. That's what it is as a fraction. Step 2 is to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So we have to move this decimal 1 space to the right, and this decimal 1 space is to the right. So that means we're going to have to multiply both by 10. Times 10 over 10. This is going to give me 648 divided by 18. Step number 3, use the standard algorithm. 648 divided by 18. Let's check. Can 18 go into 6? Nope, 6 is too small. Go out one more. How many times can 18 go into 64? Well, 18 rounds up to 20, and 20 times 3 is 60. So I think 3 can probably work. Three times 8 is 24. Carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Subtract. 64 minus 54 is 10. Bring down the 8. And I think how many times can 18 go into 108? Well, 18 again rounds to 20. 20 times 5 is 100. But then I want to get up to 108. So maybe we try 6. 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 4, which is 10. 108 minus 108 gives me 0. No remainders. 36 is my answer. If you got that all on your own, 2 gold stars for you. Now let's try something a little bit harder and level up. Let's look at example 2. We're going to follow the same steps. So first we're going to write the division problem as a fraction. Here's my numerator, 25.2. My denominator is 0.72. Then we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Now this one's a little bit different, right? Because you may notice I have one number after the decimal here, and I have 2 numbers after the decimal in the denominator. So if I have to multiply this one by 100, so I can move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, I have to multiply the numerator by the same number, because I have to keep this equal to 1. Because if this is not equal to 1, I'm changing the value of my fraction. So if I moved this number 2 spaces to the right, 1 space, 2 space, it would be right here. And then I would fill this in with a 0. So I would have 2,520, because I moved it 2 spaces to the right. Here, if I move it 2 spaces to the right by multiplying by 100, I get 72. Last step is to use the standard algorithm, so let's divide. I'm dividing 2,520 by 72. Let's check it out. 72 can't go into 2, too small. Can I divide 25 by 72? Still too small. Now 252, that I can divide by 72. Let's do a little bit of estimating. Let's round 72 to 70. And if I think of this as 7 and this as 25, well, 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. 28 would be too big. So let's try 3. Three times 2 is 6. And then 3 times 7 is 21. Subtract these. 2 minus 6, I have to borrow. Make this a 4. Put a 1 here. 12 minus 6 is 6. 4 minus 1 is 3. Bring down the 0. And then I think, how many times can 72 go into 360? Well, if I just think of this as 7, and this is 36, how many times can 7 go into 36? Well, 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 6 is 42. 42 is too many. So let's try 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 7 is, 10, so I carry the 1. 5 times 7 is 35 plus 1, which is 36. Subtract that, 0. All right, there's my answer. Now that we've done that example, you are going to pause the video and try number 4 on your own. Remember, if you're not pausing and trying on your own, you're not really challenging yourself to learn. So pause and go. Now you are resuming the video after you have tried it on your own. Step number 1, write it as a fraction. 258.4 over 0.76. Multiply it by the same numerator and denominator so we can move all the decimals to the end. Well, if I have to move it 2 spaces here, then I would have to move 2 spaces here also. So I would get a 0 there. So then I have 25,840 divided by 76. Oh, sorry, because I multiplied it by 100. So multiplying by 100 over 100. And let's kind of skip that step there. My mistake. Sorry about that. And then I can divide. I hope I have enough space right here. 25,840 divided by 76. Okay, 76 can't go into 2, can't go into 25. How many times can 76 go into 258? Well, 76 rounds up to 8. And if I think of this as 25, 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. That's too many. So let me try 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21. Plus the 1 is 22. 8 minus 8 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. Bring down the 4. How many times can 76 go into 304? Well, again, if I'm rounding this to 80, and I think of this as 8, how many times can 8 go into 30? 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. That's too many. So I'm going to do also another 3. And I actually already did 3 times 76 and got 228, so I don't have to do the math again. I can just write this same number right here, minus 228. Oh, running out of space. 4 minus 8 is, I changed this to a 14, borrow from here. 14 minus 8 is 6. 9 minus 2 is 7. Uh-oh, I got a 76. That means I messed up. That means I could get a 4 here. And 4 times 76 gets me actually exactly 304. Oh, this is turning into a really messy problem. You know what? Sorry for all this mess. Let's just do this again here. 25,840 divided by 76. We know that the first number was 3. 3 times 76 is 228. We got 300 or 30. Bring down the 4. We know that this is going to be 4 here. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 7 is 28 plus 2, which is 30. Gives us exactly 0. We bring down another 0. How many times can 76 go into 0? 0 times 340. Okay. Thanks for sticking with me. 3 gold stars for you. And with that,
Thank you so much for playing my game.